Welcome to Precision Animal Training, where we teach big lessons through the lens of getting precise science-based behavior. I'm Kier like your ear, Kirsten, Crawl like a baby Kraljevic, animal trainer, behavior nerd, and your host. This is a show about real, lasting change. The science of precision, the power of pursuing perfect timing, the art of truly seeing and shaping behavior. Whether you're working with chickens, dogs, dolphins, parrots, horses, or even ourselves. Expect real stories from the field, timeless principles that transfer across species, and practical insights you can apply immediately. Because if you can train a chicken with clarity, kindness, and razor-sharp precision, you can train almost anything. So grab a notebook. This is your personal masterclass in curiosity, mechanics, and true behavioral understanding. Today, we're peeling back the curtain on one of the most extraordinary chapters in the history of animal behavior. The story of Marian and Keller Breland, two pioneers who took B.F. Skinner's ideas out of the lab and into the real world. In this episode, you'll travel from Depression-era hardship to scientific innovation, from training pigeons to guide bombs in World War II, to launching a scalable business that turned feed salesmen into expert animal trainers. We'll explore how a chance meeting and a rat bite set everything in motion, the secret behind pigeons guiding the infamous Pelican bomb, and the entrepreneurial ingenuity that blanketed America with automated animal shows. If you're fascinated by the intersection of science, creativity, and behavioral precision, you're in the right place. So come learn with me. Let's dive in. Welcome back. I'm Kirsten Kraljevic, coming to you from the beautiful Gulf Coast with one of my favorite people, and a person who changed the way I look at everything is probably the easiest way to say it. I cannot unsee what I've learned from this man. And we're going back in time. We're going to go a little deeper into the Brelands, and that would be Marian and Keller. And let's just for a second go back to the fact that these are kids. They're young people, right? How did Marian even get to the university?
Marian came from a very impoverished family. They were somewhat wealthy before, but the banks crashed in the 30s and they lost all of their money. And so her father had a heart attack then, and her mother had to go to work. Fortunately, she was already a nurse, so she was able to get a job. But that meant that Marian really did not have the funds to go to the university. So there was a series of contests that occurred across the United States with various organizations, including the government. And they would write essays. And she rose in the ranks of the people who were doing this essay work in order to get scholarships. And she ended up getting a full scholarship to the University of Minnesota. And that meant room and board and a stipend to survive, plus our tuition and other college expenses. And so she went to the University of Minnesota. And it was there that she undertook a language major. Actually, Marian was fluent in a number of languages already at the time. Her parents were German, and so her first language was German. Anyway, she went to the university there and was involved in her language courses. And she had to take a science course. So she decided to take for her science course psychology. Well, it just so happens that very quickly in her class with B.F. Skinner, by accident, she was taking a class with Skinner, that Skinner realized how bright Marian was and invited her to what they called seminar. And that was an evening class where a group of later to be very famous psychologists who were then students they met in the evening and they talked psychology. And in short order, Marian became one of Skinner's students doing laboratory work. And she did that for a number of years.
And how did she meet Keller? What was his story? How did he get from Mississippi to Minnesota?
Keller was at LSU, graduated from LSU, and he had a master's degree in industrial psychology. And so he went to the University of Minnesota. How he selected that, I'll never know, because he hated the cold. Anyway, he went to the university there, and just so happens that he was taking a class with Skinner. Anyway, one day, Marian quite literally bumped into Keller. She was going to the infirmary to get treatment for a rat bite. And it was very funny because one of the first names that Keller used after their meeting there, he called her Mouse. And it was an affectionate word. He did not know that her parents had called her Mouse from the time she was 2 years old.
Oh, wow.
One was Maus, which is Deutsch, and Keller used Mouse. But anyway, they got together after that, and later, in 1941, they got married.
Okay, so 41 they're married. What happens in 43? What's Orcon? Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, Skinner hired Keller, so now he had both Marian and Keller working for him. And, of course, the war hit. And Skinner proposed to the Navy that pigeons could guide a particular type of bomb that they were already working on at the time, and they just lacked a guidance system for it. He said that he could train a pigeon to guide this bomb. And they began, the program began in April of 1942. By that fall, they already had pigeons going through all of the procedures necessary to guide the bomb, but the bomb wasn't quite ready for them. It was not until 1943 that they could actually put a pigeon inside one of the pelicans. That's what the name of the bomb, the pelican. And they used 3 pigeons. And if any one pigeon did not agree, they would just not consider that pigeon. Anyway, they started dropping these bombs from these towers, these grain towers that I'm sure most people have seen. And that would be about 150, 200 feet or more. And these pigeons were quite precise in how they were guiding these particular bombs.
Okay, stop you there. Shut the front door. They put pigeons in a bomb?
Yes, they put pigeons in a bomb.
So I'm trying to wrap my head around how they were guiding these bombs. Like, how?
Well, we can get into the weeds as far as the mechanics goes, but it was pneumatics, hydraulics, whatever you wish to call it, where there would be a device that the pigeon would peck at, and there is a part of the mechanism called a tabula rasa, which is a screen that shows an image from the front. And that image would be what the bomb was after. And the pigeon would peck the screen in a certain way in order to keep that object or a particular part of the object within the center of the screen. And the device worked very well. And the Brelands were much impressed by how fast this really worked. Pigeons received information, and it responded to the information. And the pigeons learned very fast how to peck to keep this image in the center of the screen. It's being in the center of the screen that guided the fins to guide the bomb to the target.
And when you hear Bob say this happened very fast, what that meant was this project could be scalable. They could teach many pigeons to do what that's what they thought they could do, right? Those 3 initial pigeons, they could teach many more to do it rather quickly.
Yeah, well, they had more than 30 pigeons doing this. And it actually went all of the way to the test phase, where they were ready to actually put it in airplanes and start dropping bombs. But when the admirals looked at this, they just could not rely on pigeons to guide their missiles. They were just non-believing. There was also the fact that some of the admirals knew the atomic bomb was ready and would probably mean that pinpoint bombing was irrelevant at the time. But anyway, they said, no, we won't continue with this. It looked fantastic. Now, later on, much later on, they used some of this information on the development of another bomb during the Korean War. And this had to do with laser-guided bombs. It was the first of the laser-guided bombs. And they used them to destroy bridges in North Korea.
Wow. Are you an animal trainer ready to sharpen your skills to a legendary level? Or a corporate leader looking for a fresh, powerful way to boost team dynamics, decision-making, and leadership? Discover Kirsten's Chicken Workshops, an immersive 5-day experience rooted in the science-based curated exercises of the legendary Bob and Marian Bailey. Train a live chicken using the principles of operant conditioning, like positive reinforcement. Why chickens? They're fast, honest teachers that instantly reveal where you need to improve your training skills. No fluff, just real results that transfer to dogs, horses, or any species you want to train, and even to leading people more effectively. Trainers call it life-changing. Dr. Bob Bailey himself endorses it as the ultimate mechanical skill builder. So visit Kirsten'sChickenWorkshops.com right now and sign up for the waitlist. Spots fill fast. Train a chicken, change the way you train and lead forever. Head to Kirsten'sChickenWorkshops.com today. So when you told me earlier and how I felt like I could weave it was, you were talking earlier about, Keller's an entrepreneur. He leaves academia. He's working with people, but he somehow has to weave it back to animals. General Mills was involved in the Orcon project.
Right.
So General Mills already had a relationship with Keller.
And he used that, yes.
He used that to start training the feed salesman, right?
Mm-hmm, right.
And that's when he started laying down procedures for people to train animals, which morphed into more military contracts as well?
No. The military stuff did not come up for a long time after that.
So he's training these feed salesmen. The feed salesmen, they're traveling around.
This is in 1947-48.
Where the feed store was the place to gather on a Saturday. Mm-hmm. So people would show up on Saturday, and these feed salesmen would be getting chickens and rabbits and...
Chickens and rabbits and pigs were the 3 big ones.
And they would travel around their particular
territory. And that is coast to coast, border to border.
So back at their company, which they named Animal Behavior Enterprise, Keller and Marian would be preparing these animals. They'd be training these animals.
No, that there would be a lot of training going on at their farm, including with these people that would later on take them to these various places around the country.
Right.
And they would learn how to train. The animals would be mostly trained by the time they got out there. The people had been working with them for maybe 3-4 weeks. And then they would take them to their territories. They would continue the training at their territory and practice giving their shows. And as I said, by the time they finished, they trained 12 people to be trainers. And these people would now start training other animals like ducks. They included some dogs in some of the shows. In other words, they became trainers.
The feed
The
salesmen.
feed salesmen became trainers.
Because they were being trained in a technology by Marian and Keller.
Right.
And then now you have a scalable entrepreneurial venture, right? Because you can train trainers and you can move them out to their territories with these feed stores. Mm-hmm. I know you've showed me a map, and we're going to put this up on the website to make sure people can see it, of how they blanketed the United States. How fast did they blanket?
Yes, well, they started with their training program in 1947. They gave their first show as a demonstration to General Mills in 1946 at the State Fair in 46. They liked it so much they wanted multiple shows around the country. So the Brelands said that they could train salesmen to do this. So the first class was 3 people. And so 3 people plus the Brelands got together in 47, late 47, and they trained. And these people were all ready to start giving shows in the neighboring states around Minnesota. And the company was ecstatic because they were having as many as 5,000 people show up in one day at a feed store. Now, the feed stores were just beside themselves. They had no room for 5,000 people. But they filled the streets, people wanting to see these animal shows. So by 1948, they had trained 12 people, and it expanded almost coast to coast, border to border. By 1950, they were fully border to border, coast to coast, and even a bit into Canada. That was 1950 was the first year that they went international.
Wow.
Into Canada, into Toronto.
So it morphs from one client, correct, of General Mills into now they're into roadside attractions. How did that happen?
Well, the Brelands started automating animal shows in 1949. And that is completely automatic, that a person presses a button or puts in a nickel or a dime, and the animal does something. They did that in 1949. And it was quite successful. The chicken would answer questions.
The chicken would play tic-tac-toe, or that was years?
No, that was many years later. And it was easy. And training the animal was easy because they had already designed the equipment for training the animals. Now, they had learned from Skinner really how to do this, because these devices that the Brelands were building were just big Skinner boxes.
Coin-operated Skinner boxes.
Coin-operated Skinner boxes.
That could show up along roadside attractions at a time in our country where that was a big thing.
Yes, and they actually developed a methodology, a way of transporting these animals all over the United States. And they actually got to be very, very common on Rail Express. Now, people today probably have never heard of Rail Express, but that's how things, even live animals, used to be shipped all over the United States. And these are specialized boxes that the animals go into, and it allows for the feeding of the animal, providing water for the animal, and the agents actually know how to do this. It's actually described on the box itself exactly how to feed the animal, how much to feed, when to feed, and how to water, and do all the things for caring for the animal.
That's amazing to me that they had the foresight to get there to this.
That was the beginning of systemization, of being able to create a system for the entire operation of getting the animal there, getting the animal back, getting the box there that the animal's going to perform in, instructions for the handlers at the other end where the animal's going to perform. All of this became a system. And this goes back to Keller's industrial psychology training about how to systematize things.
Wow. And when we come back, we're going to go into the culture of ABE, because there's 2 threads forming here. One is the training of the trainer, and the other is automation. Is that a word?
Sure. Why
Okay,
not?
it is now. The automation of these shows that are so repeatable, you could put any duck that's trained at ABE in this box. If someone called and said, hey, my duck's sick, you could ship them another duck and it could perform just as well.
We've shipped as far as South Africa.
Wow.
To replace animals.
Wow. So next episode, stay tuned. It gets more interesting. Thanks so much for joining us today on Precision Animal Training. Here are a few takeaways from this episode. First, we followed Marian Breland's remarkable journey from winning scholarships and essay contests to studying at the University of Minnesota, where her curiosity led her straight to B.F. Skinner and the birth of modern animal training. Second, we explored how a rat bite and a chance meeting sparked Keller Breland's partnership with Marian, affectionately nicknamed Mouse, including their groundbreaking work training pigeons to guide bombs, proof of behavioral science's incredible potential. Third, Keller's industrial psychology background helped them turn innovative ideas into scalable systems, creating a nationwide network of trainers and turning animal performances into precise, repeatable shows. Breakthroughs begin with curiosity, unexpected collaborations, and the courage to ask new questions. Stay bold, stay curious, and we'll see you next time on Precision Animal Training. Thanks for listening to the Precision Animal Training Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, rate, and review us wherever you listen. It helps spread the word to more trainers like you. Share the show with a friend who could use a behavior breakthrough. Want to dive deeper into precision animal training? Head to kirstenschickenworkshops.com to learn about the workshops, sign up, or join the waitlist for the next series. That's kirstenschickenworkshops.com, where legendary science-based behavioral technology meets tomorrow's top trainers. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, remember, train a chicken, change the way you train forever. This show was edited and produced by Johnny Gwynn at Deep Fried Studios.